More text messages from Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones. Now, you may have seen over the weekend, or if you didn't, that this guy, Jay Jones, got into a little bit of trouble for text messages that he put out that he sent in 2022. They just came out in the wake of him running, where he sent text messages to a GOP House delegate, a woman, talking about, and my gosh, I actually can't even read this on air, so I'm not going to read it, but he talked about specific killings of other, and in detail, in graphic detail, and referred to his opponents as, he said Gilbert was the guy's name, and then he said Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets to the head. I'm reading his comments, by the way. Put him in the crew with the two worst people you know, and he receives two every time. He then, after the woman, listen to this. This is how horrific this guy is. After she asked him to stop texting her that stuff, he then reportedly called her and suggested that he wished his wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that he might reconsider his political views. This is a guy who's running for AG in Virginia. Now, he's been endorsed by all the Democrats. None of them have rescinded their endorsements. Joe Scarborough, though, I'll give him credit on this. He has called for him to withdraw. He has called for him to drop out of the race. So, all right, he's done that. But now there are more text messages that came out. So those came out over the weekend. Now there's more text messages that came out talking about police officers. The Virginia AG candidate, Jay Jones, said if more cops got killed, they wouldn't shoot so many people.
Firstly,
according to a lawmaker.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Firstly, it is literally the exact opposite, by the way. Like, aside from how hideous that statement is, the reason police officers fear for their lives is because there's a legitimate threat and they are being killed. But secondly, this is twisted beyond normal wrath. There's something deeply psychologically wrong with this person. This guy's a gross little creep. I wouldn't trust him with a butter knife. How could he have an elected position in the United States?
Gilbert and his wife should have to watch their fascist children die in their arms.
That's sick. That's really sick.
It really is a sickness. It's not just he doesn't actually care. And this is what I wrote my book about this, my anti-communist book. I said, they actually aren't interested in justice or equality or any of these things. This is what they want. They actually do have this desire to see their opponents killed and their families killed. And look, I'm going to say it. If you thought that I was being talking a little bit too much, go look at the reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder. Go look at the way people celebrate, and they say, well, what about right-wing violence? I say, nobody on the right celebrates violence like this. Nobody.
That's
never happened.
Yeah, that's an argument that I make. People like to go ahead and do the whataboutism. I had a little rant the other day about people talking about Paul Pelosi. Nobody on the right was saying, it's good that Paul Pelosi was attacked. I'm glad he was attacked. He was saying things that I really hate, and I want to see whoever is whatever next person in line. They didn't celebrate it. They did laugh at the circumstances. They made jokes about the fact that he was in his underwear. There was a bunch of rumors going around about the context and the situation, but they weren't celebrating. They weren't doing the same thing that the left did. When the left found out or saw the video of Charlie getting killed, they were instantly celebrating. They were saying, thank goodness, thank God, blah, blah, blah. Yep. We're happy about this. We want to see more of this. And they started releasing lists of other people that they thought that should be next. Present company included, people like Tim.
Demons self-identified.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so this idea that the left and the right are comparable, it is absolutely fallacious. It is absolutely not true. The left has been an openly terrorist organization, at least if you want to be charitable, at least since 2020, when they were rioting and burning down cities over what was basically a lie. And also they have been using government, as in local district attorneys and local police departments and local judges, to allow criminals to remain free, and basically allowing these people to terrorize normal, good, hardworking Americans.
Morgan,
The silence from
What
the
do we
left
do?
right now is truly shocking. That if you don't condemn it, you condone it. They're not condemning that. I'll tell you, I had not been announced for Senate for 24 hours before people started calling me fascist online.
Mm-hmm.
My 10-year-old nephew said to my sister, I don't want Uncle Morgan to run for Senate because I don't want him to be killed. He had seen the Charlie Kirk news. And that has affected a whole generation of people. It's chilling them out of public service. People don't want to go into public service. People say to me all the time, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're exposing yourself to it. But I never thought I'd expose my son or my family to this kind of rhetoric, this kind of planned violence. You know criminals. They imagine the violence before they commit it. That's what's so frightening about his words.
That's it. No, that's absolutely right. And people try to pretend that there's this separation. Things don't happen in the world that didn't first happen in the human heart.
That's right.
People will fixate on something and then they will eventually do it. And when it comes to left-wing fantasies of harming children, whether of this variety or others, we're told by certain left-wing activists, firstly, tacitly by the people who are silent about this, but also about others who will try to argue that, oh, well, somebody thinking about something doesn't mean they're going to really go do it in real life. If someone's an alcoholic, do you give them the advice that they should think about drinking all day because that's going to be a good outlet to get them to stop drinking? Obviously not. The reason they say it's okay for people to quote unquote muse, which is the word one article used to describe this man fantasizing about these children dying. The reason that they say that it's okay for these people to muse about this is because, of course, they know what we know, that thoughts lead to actions, and they want it to happen. They want that to happen.
Guard your thoughts. Was thoughts become words, and words become actions, and actions become destiny and your character.
There are people that are on the supposedly moderate left that have said things like, there's a streamer named Destiny that said things like, look, we want to see conservatives afraid of dying if they go out and promote their political opinions, so that way they will petition their leaders to tell them to turn the rhetoric down, to turn the temperature down, which is, on its face, that's a dumb thing, right? We're going to endorse terrorism because terrorism works. That's exactly what he's saying. We want these people to be terrorized so that way they will tell their leaders that people like Donald Trump that they should not, they should do things to turn down the temperature. We'll turn the temperature up in order to get them to turn down the temperature, which is historically a massively counterproductive effort. Right? People don't respond to terrorism by saying, especially on the levels that would be thought possible in the United States, right? You're not going to get a massive terrorist attack or you're not going to get massive amounts of terrorism out of the left nowadays. And if you did, look what happened in 9/11. Like we mobilized the entire country to respond to a terrorist attack that killed 3,000 people. Like, the idea that terrorism is going to produce the right, was going to cow the right and make the right say, no, we should tell our leaders to turn down the temperature. That is an objectively stupid thing to think on its face. That never happens. Historically, that never happens. But this is something that the people on the left, and again, this guy's supposedly a moderate, on the moderate left. He's not what you would consider a communist. He's not what you would consider a socialist. He talks about he believes in capitalism ostensibly and stuff, but he says things like this. And that's something that you get on the left broadly nowadays, which is why you saw people celebrating.
And where are the calls for Jay Jones to tone down the rhetoric?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are the calls for a Democrat member, a guy who's running for, on AG on a major party ticket? He's the running mate of Abigail Spanberger. You have not heard anyone. Now, I will say MSNBC's called it, all right? But you don't hear, I'm not getting hit up by reporters saying, when are we going to, Manu Raju isn't running around Capitol Hill saying, well, are you going to tone down the rhetoric? Are you going to disavow? Are you going to disavow? Where is it? Where is this? Because when my friend was murdered, all right, 3 weeks ago, and the very first thing I heard was, are you guys going to tone down the rhetoric? I'm like, I haven't even said anything. I haven't even said a word.
It's disgusting.
Well, aren't you guys going to tone down the rhetoric? I said, well, first of all, my friend's in a box. There are bullets flying. One of them hit him, and there's bullets flying at ICE agents. And the media's first response is to ask the right to tone down rhetoric when we're the ones who are catching bullets all of a sudden.
They literally said, will this terrorist attack work? That's what they're saying.
Yeah, you're right.
They're projecting.
That's right.
They're always projecting, like we were saying earlier. And some people have told me it only exists on the fringes of the left. And I'm like, I think we're experiencing sustained, widespread political bloodlust across the whole base. I was in New York when Butler happened.
Yeah.
And I was at like a family function. Some old friends will say, this one in particular, ex-friend, said, too bad Trump didn't get it, right? My mother-in-law was in Manhattan when Charlie was executed. And she found out because someone said, thank God, on the street, on the sidewalk. These people feel open to be that bloodthirsty. And these people aren't talking out against it because they all kind of feel that way. It's not like this guy, it's not unique to him. They all feel this. It's their last resort is violence.
And I think there's far too many. We saw the celebration of the death of Charlie Kirk. Is Jay Jones in elected office now? Is he?
No, he's running.
No, but I mean, is he like a state, state delegate? Because they said he was in the state delegation. Attorneys, he's a former member of the House of Delegates from.
Dude, what a creep.
2018
I
to
can't even look at his
2021.
face. I can't even look at his face.
So he had just gotten out.
Creep.
He had just gotten out of
Disgusting.
the Virginia House of Delegates when he sent these messages, and apparently he was sending it to a friend that thought would share, that he would perhaps share her beliefs, and then he starts calling her and berating her.
But this speaks to what you were just saying, Shane. Why would he think that someone else would be open to hearing that? Probably because a lot of people on his side of the political aisle have been. He was probably surprised by the fact that someone was upset by it.
Look, you see these people in D.C. Morgan, you've been to D.C., you know how it's like. I'll never forget, by the way, of all the text messages, and this will line up to our next story, of all the text messages between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, the one that always stands out with me is the one that talks about how all of D.C. just looks down on Middle America and just hates Middle America. And they said you can smell the Walmart on Trump supporters. Yeah. You can smell the Walmart on them. And that is that elitist bubble in which all these people live, that they think we are better, we are the anointed ones, we are the best, and all you hicks, all you inbred, gullible losers stuck in the middle of the country, the bitter clingers that Barack Obama said.
The great unifier, Barack Obama, all of his memorable quotes were just nasty, horrible things he said, but he wasn't as funny when he said them as Trump was. It just kind of came off as bitchy and sad.
And look at the timeline of the invective, though. Look at where we started under Barack Obama and where we are now. Right? We've gone from clinging to their guns and their Bibles, and then we got into their fascists and their authoritarians, and now they're just simply let's just kill them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you say literally Hitler for 8 years.
And you say it over and over and over.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.